Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts I can make a difference to your life.
Effortless Attraction podcast is sponsored by Colette Leeson Interview and Career Coaching. If you dream of landing your ideal job, consider Colette's services. With a success rate exceeding 90% among her interview clients, Colette offers personalized career guidance and interview coaching discreetly, both online and in person. She also conducts workshops and provides career advice talks. For further details, visit ColetteLeeson.com.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another Effortless Attraction podcast. You'll receive Effortless Attraction on audio on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all major podcast platforms, and today's show will also be on video on YouTube. So today I am joined by Farren, who's made the journey from Ireland to Spain, and we're going to be talking about Catherine's new book. Catherine, you are most welcome. Thank you so much for coming the whole way from Ireland to Spain.
You're most welcome. Thank you for inviting us.
And you're most welcome, but the greatest gift is receiving your book. So, retreat and breathe. Mm-hmm. How fabulous. I am absolutely delighted for you.
Thanks.
So this is what we're here to talk about today, Catherine. Inspiration behind Retreat and Breathe.
Do you know, the title came from, I did a wee course many years ago, maybe 2021, and we had to do like a vision board and cut out different things in the magazines that sort of resonated with us, you know, and those words just resonated with me, and I put it onto a book and just forgot about it actually. And then when I wrote my poems, and I thought that just sounds like a nice title.
Retreat and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's what we need to do in life.
Absolutely, and I've had to do it many a time myself and still continue to do it, you know.
But it takes a lot of confidence and courage also to write a book, Catherine. Was there many doubts and fears came up along the journey? Whenever
I was writing the poems, because I was doing a creative writing course through my work, through the Western Trust. Fionnuala Cassidy had hosted it, and the poems were just coming to me through the night and everything. So it wasn't really about writing a book. Whenever the poems were just coming to me and through me, as I was saying to Michael, we were chatting about it, and even during the night I was writing poems and things. So it wasn't I was intentionally writing a book at that time. I was just writing down what was coming to me. So the other part of it, actually gathering them all together and then publishing it,
that's the part.
That was another chapter.
Because there's so many people, they'll always say, I have a book, there's a book in me, but they never complete it. So that's why when I received your message, I was overjoyed.
I know.
That Catherine actually went through with this and completed it. But do you feel yourself that, I suppose you have to write from experience also, and experience of other people's lives, experience of your life, what helped you in tough times or has helped others. And the beautiful thing about the book, the poems are, well, I use that word effortless, but it's where you could just open at any page, read a poem, and you know, it just, I think for every woman or man in life, it sits well with them. Have you been having great feedback now from those?
I have, and every single time that someone says that they can relate to a poem or it resonates with them, I just full of joy, because I actually get very emotional and sometimes tearful at times, you know, because, you know, people have said to me, that's exactly where I am now, or that's just sums up how I'm feeling, you know, and that's just amazing to me. So it is.
Well, I've just opened the book. I thought I'm going to open it wherever it lands. The mask. And I'm sure you know these all back to front, inside out. No one gets to see the pain behind the mask. She smiles at every person, even strangers as they pass. She'll keep it all away until she's on her own, never breaking down a reputation she has grown. Once she knows for certain it's safe to be herself, prepares to allow her feelings, and sets the mask upon the shelf. Only on her own time she'll let herself be free until it's time to go again. The mask is what they'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
The mask, so we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever found in your own life that you've wore a mask?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, chatting to other men and women, Michael and I were recently at a poetry reading night, and there was a talk from a gentleman who had actually, his was titled A Mask as well. It wasn't a poem as such, it was more like a story, and more or less that he wore a mask for the outside world, and when he came into home again, then he just, you know, he crumbled basically, you know. And I think for a lot of us, you know, that can resonate, you know, when you're going through things but you hide it away.
Yeah.
And for the world you put on that mask, you know.
Yeah, putting up a front.
Mm.
I'm all right, I'm grand. Or a sign of weakness. If I look like I can't cope. But isn't that what, you know, the journey of what we say, self-development, personal growth, mental health awareness, to know that there are people that have experienced the similar things, or there's so many in this book to help people with their own confidence to achieve what it is that they would love to achieve in life. How long has it been your desire or wish or dream to have your own book?
A long time. I would say from my 20s, so up on nearly 30 years. But I always had this in my mind about writing a rom-com, and I have wee chapters wrote here, there and everywhere. So I will do that, you know, that's my next. But that, you know, writing a collection of poems was never in my agenda at all. It was never something that I ever thought that I could do. I didn't know that I could write poetry. I had wrote a couple of poems after Michael's father had passed away, and they just came to me, and the Robin was one of them. And but I had those just put away in a book, but I didn't realise that I could write poetry. And whenever I was doing the course with Fionnuala, you know, she was wanting us to, she would give us a word or something to say, write a wee story about that, but I couldn't write a wee story. It was just the poetry was coming through, and she says, well, that's okay, you know. So it just kept coming, and then I was getting feedback on the creative writing class, and everybody was saying, well, that's good. And I suppose that helps to keep you going.
So for people, as I say, there's many ones says, I'd love to write a book. What was you done the creative writing class, but for you, if you could break it down, well, this is what I've done, then this kind of happened, and this happened, for anyone that might give them a bit of inspiration. Well,
I shared my poems with my family and my close friends, and they were giving great feedback. And then I went through that, will I publish these or won't I? Because it was all that imposter syndrome. That's actually one of the poems there. The imposter syndrome is, you know, you're a nurse, not a writer. That's definitely not you. You know, and I toyed with that back and forth. And then I thought, no, I have a responsibility to share these, because I know in my heart these will help people. So I thought, right, how do I go about this? And I knew it wasn't going to be a big book, you know, so your book was a great book to go by. You know, your books are all easy ones you can pop into your handbag and everything like that. So the format, I sort of used that, and then just really taking it. I was going to go to like a big publisher, and then I thought, no, because I may maybe get rejected and maybe won't get out there. And I thought, no, I'm not giving them the power to do that. I want this to go out. So I decided to self-publish. So I contacted a publishing, it's called Publish Nation, that I used, a publishing group, and they were brilliant. They really helped me, you know, so much. I had very little to do in that part of it, just coming back and forth.
You have your index, you know, of all the titles.
Aye.
And I know when we were speaking yesterday, you said I just jotted down little titles. I hadn't the poems yet written for them, but then something came.
Aye.
So would you give that advice to someone, just even titles of chapters that you're to write? Or
well, they actually came afterwards, because it was actually Fionnuala's idea, because she had said about clustering them into the poems, I hadn't thought about grouping them into different sections until she had said to me about it, and then it made sense.
Yeah.
So that came afterwards, actually. It wasn't, so everything maybe, it wasn't, sometimes you can get hung up on how you should do something rather than just letting it flow. And that's the way it was with this book.
Well, there's a key word there, allowing the flow.
Aye.
And not getting hung up. But the right people come into your life at the right time in order for the book to be created. Now the podcast, you've came yourself and Michael to Spain to do the podcast, so that we can talk a bit more about this book, that other people get to hear it. Isn't that amazing how life just keeps, when you go with the flow, when you allow things and people to come in, when you surrender, as you say, I let those words, that poetry come in, so I could write them so it may serve or benefit somebody else.
Absolutely. That's something I've struggled with myself over the years, is control, trying to control and trying to make everything perfect, and when you, as you say, allow the flow.
Well, I'm going to go to that poem that you just mentioned there now, Imposter Syndrome, or Imposter Syndrome. I'll let you read it.
Well,
the woman that wrote it. Sure, I'll let you read it.
I don't think I've ever read any of my poems aloud.
Well, here we go. There's a first.
Let's see. What? You write poetry? Well, that can't be true. You're a nurse, not a writer. That's certainly not you. Do what you know best and stay in your lane. This change in your life will have you going insane. Sure, no one will listen to the words that you write. You might as well give up. You don't have the fight. You've got to be pretty and smart to succeed. There's no one to help you and no one to lead. What? You're not listening. You're just going to try. Well, remember I told you so when you stumble and cry. I'll just stay here waiting, saying nothing right now. Wait, you really did it. Well, I guess it's time to take a bow.
There you go. Isn't that lovely? How did that feel reading that?
Oh, emotional. Every time, since the whole, publication of the book, every time someone says something to me, I just get an overwhelming emotion in a good way. It's like a real joy, and it just comes forth, and the tears come, and and it's lovely.
But as you say, there's so many things can stop people
doing
what it is that they love.
Absolutely.
And we understand that people need an income to pay a mortgage, to pay bills, but so many people are not living their joy, not being fulfilled or being on purpose. And we can allow that fear to step in and prevent us from doing so.
Oh, definitely.
And how do you feel about yourself that you stepped through that fear?
I feel great about it, actually. I do feel, I feel grateful to be in the position that I'm in, first and foremost. Michael said to me, do you not feel proud of yourself? I wouldn't describe it as feeling proud. Yes, I am proud that I took the steps to get where it's at, but I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am to get the poems out there, to help other people. I think that's always in the core.
And I'm when you talked about grateful, I'm very grateful. I got a mention in the
start
about gratitude.
Because that was, looking back, like last year, whenever the poems came to me, that was like a culmination of like the 7 years of working and going within and working on myself, and that was the end result. And gratitude was one of the first and foremost, sort of like the foundation of everything. And as I said to you, whenever people are saying, but you need to practice gratitude, and I was just writing down the same 3 things all the time. And then whenever I heard your gratitude meditation, it was like, all right, that's how you do it. I felt it. I was practicing gratitude beforehand, but I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
And then your meditation, that allowed me to feel it,
And it opened you up then for just the feeling of being grateful in general. Like you could look out, and in Spain today we have rain, but to be grateful. Grateful that we have our health to be here. Grateful that we have technology to do this video podcast. Grateful for our voices. Grateful for our health.
Absolutely.
So many things, and you really feel it.
And it is the feeling.
Yeah. I think if it would be a wonderful thing, if mankind or womankind, whatever, if we had a state of being grateful, then that would eliminate the likes of greed or perhaps the fear or of not being good enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a wee one I actually wrote in there. It was for the Western Trust does a lot of, work sharing people's, literary poems and stories and things like that. And I think the morning gratitude is in there. And it's just something simple as standing at my back door in the morning with your cuppa in your hand and just looking at the sky and the birds taking off and just simple things.
And I just want to go back over, you said Western Trust. So people listen to this podcast all over the place. So just if you want to explain just what the Western Trust is, and that they provided wasn't the creative writing?
The Western Trust, Health and Social Care Trust for Northern Ireland. I'm a nurse employed in the Western Trust, National Health Service, and I say they do a lot to support their staff. And this was a free online course, and I'd never done anything like that before, and I felt drawn to it. So it's
in your nature. You're caring nature to nurse, to heal, to help. But it starts with yourself, Catherine.
100%. I look at where I was. I explained in the book a wee synopsis of where I was 8 years ago. I just felt lost, disconnected, and it was an overwhelming feeling. But I knew I had to do something about it, and so at that time, when you're a nurse, you give so much within your working day. You're given a lot to yourself, and then we had sickness at home with Michael's parents were unwell, and I think, and in my nature with the children, I was always about, as long as everybody else is happy, then I'm happy, and I'm always trying to fix things and make everything, and I just lost myself. And we were allowed to go to a mindfulness class, and through our work, it was a free mindfulness class. And I remember sitting in the circle, and the gentleman that was hosting it, lovely man, Frank, and he was going around everybody, and he said, what do you want to take away from this? Because I'd never done meditation or anything like that before. And he says, what do you want to take away from this? And I said, I want to be able to breathe. A full inhalation, because at that time I was stressed so much that I was breathing from here up. I wasn't taking a full inhalation. I was just, and I knew that I wasn't able to take that full breath, but just through the mindfulness class and putting into practice, and that opened up, I was able to then relax, through the meditation. I thought, right, okay, I can change. I can bring about change,
But you wanted the change, Catherine.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Aye.
It's amazing, really, that things have to take place in our life or happen, as you say, nearly in a high state of alert or anxious, as some people would say, or wanting to fix once you're happy, and you put yourself to the end of the queue. And God forbid you should put yourself first. That would be very selfish of you. Or even say to yourself, God, I appreciate you, or I love you, Catherine. That would be very egotistical.
Absolutely.
But it has to start there, because if we cannot give that love to ourselves, we cannot respect ourselves, respect our time, then we'll hold an expectation on the outside. And then that can disappoint. But that has been, I think, when we talk about a journey, that it has to start with ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I have to do for me, or look after me, and then the rest of it shows up.
Absolutely. And that took on a whole life as well. When I saw and felt that I could bring about change, that there was, there's tools that you can use to bring about change, like positive affirmations. Like I have about 300 positive affirmations. I call it my wee Bible, where I have your gratitude meditation I've wrote out, and then I have positive affirmations, and even have them recorded on my phone, just to reprogram that, not feeling good enough, that narrative, that negative narrative. And so I would listen to them in the car, and I would read the positive affirmations, and my prayers obviously as well too, and those sort of, and then books, as you always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That was the way it was coming for me.
Yeah.
With each step forward, another book was coming, and another book was coming, and it was literally, I would go onto Amazon, something similar, I would be like, oh gosh, it looks where I should go next. That's the way it was coming. Because I was putting it out there to the universe that I wanted change, you know, so it was just coming very, very naturally to me. And there's one particular book, Julia Cameron, and it's The Artist's Way. And my work colleague Josie Hughes had recommended it to me. We were bantering off each other. She recommended books, and it is a fantastic book for anybody that is thinking about any artistic creativity, moving forward with it. It helps to remove writer's block and things like that. You know, it's like a course within the book, and there are positive affirmations. And there's one particular one that stands out to me yet. I have them wrote down actually, and it's my creativity heals myself, and my creativity heals others. And that to me sums up that book, because in writing that book, I felt that I was healing, and then in sharing it, then I am helping others.
And extremely important, as I'm always saying to them, to my women, you got to use that creativity side, because if it goes stagnant, then we just become human machines that, as we were talking yesterday, living by a clock, knowing what time to get up, knowing what time, and living a joyless life, or not being creative, doing something, because it stimulates the other side of our brain. But isn't that wonderful, like through your journey, and I see it through other people too, the not so pleasant things, then a wee bit of a wake-up call. It's time you started looking after yourself here. Then you took action to look about different things, but from doing that, then putting it into practice, which sometimes people don't. I've read the books, I'm not putting it into practice, but you've put it into practice, and you've took the courage, and then it allowed more flow, more creativity. Hence then Retreat and Breathe came about, and that you're sitting here today.
I know.
Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing, because even from this time last year, you know, I could never have imagined that here to be out in Spain, sitting opposite you, being interviewed.
Thank you.
I can retire now.
Well, I'm going to say thank you.
I've reached the top.
Actually, because you're, apart from the video podcast myself and Jim done, you're my first video podcast guest. You know, I have done podcasts, audio. And I want to say thank you so much, Catherine, yourself and Michael, that came out to Spain.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for the confidence and courage of putting out this book. And if you just want to let people know how they can get their hands on this, Jim.
Yes, it is available to order on Amazon, and also you can go into Waterstones and order it as well too. So both platforms have it.
And can people reach out to you personally? Do you have some yourself that you can post?
I don't actually. I've given what I had. I've given out.
Well, that's
so
grand.
I have, but.
So go into Amazon, type in Retreat and Breathe, Catherine Farren, that's Farren.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. It is one that'll just slot into you slot into a bag, or you can lift it, open a page, and read from it. Lovely gift for someone too. Anyway, Catherine, thank you so much for being on Effortless Attraction, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another wonderful podcast.